Begin. So today's topic, which we are going to discuss, is human resource planning. Let me just begin. Let's start. So let's talk about what is HRP. This is very important to understand before because this is one of the first functions. Yesterday, remember we talked about the different functions of HRP. This is one of the first function that what is human resource planning. So human resource planning is a subsystem of the total organization planning. So we all know that every organization has some management functions. For example, they do planning, they do organizing, they do leader staffing, they do directing, they do controlling, right? We talked about this in the yesterday's lecture. So planning is all about seeing the future. Planning is all about we all plan for our lives. We all plan for our household. We all plan for our future. We all plan for our career. We always do financial planning. So we do a lot of planning, and that is why planning becomes very important. So why do we do planning? Because planning gives us uh, it keeps us a little relaxed. It helps you in understanding that okay, we don't need to because we all know that future is very unpredictable. Nobody knows what is going to happen, and that's where the planning really helps you. Planning gives you that edge to protect yourself from anything which is going to happen in future. It could be good, it could be bad, but we are prepared for both. Okay, so that's all about. The first thing is it is like a subsystem of total planning. So organization has a bigger planning. So if I look at in this way that organization planning is this big, then it is HRP planning is one of the subsystem of this particular system. So that is your first thing which you will need to understand. Moving ahead, the second important point over here is HRP facilitates the realization of companies' objective for the future by providing the right type of people, right number of personnel at the right time at the right position. Yesterday, I've talked so many times about this only that we need right people at right time at right position. Very simple. If we want to be successful, if you want your human resource to be an asset, we need to plan in this way that you have right people at right time at right position, and that is what the whole of this HRP is all about. So HRP is like understanding company's objective. So first we need to understand whether we are expanding, whether we are reducing, whether we are reducing our cost, whether we are planning for bigger things. So what is exactly our objective is right now? What is our goal? What is our objective? And then based on that, you try to predict the future. You try to understand the needs of the future. So you basically focus on the needs of the future. And then after that, what you do is providing the right number of people, right type of people at right time at right position. That is what HRP is all about. Okay. So in a simple formula, if you can want to remember what is HRP, it is all about thinking, it is all about planning for future. You can just write planning for future, and for what you are planning for right people at right time at right position. Okay, so moving on to the next point we have here is that HRP is all also called as manpower planning. So it is called as manpower planning. At the same time, it is also called as personal planning, or it is also called as employment planning. So we name it with different names. So somebody in some of the books you will find a chapter called manpower planning. In some of the books you will find a chapter called human resource planning. In some of the chapters you will find personal planning. But at the end of the day, they all means the same. That means planning for future and planning for right person at right place at right time. Okay. So next important question is, what is the importance of human resource planning? Why we are doing it? Very simple. What is the purpose of doing it? So the first thing is creating the highly talented personnel. So any company, then they when they are planning to do when they are thinking of HRP, they need to understand the importance of HR also. We need to understand the importance of HRM also. And yesterday also we discussed this point that human resource management is all about procurement of right talent. We need right people, which is very very important. When I say right people, that means the people who are good who can mix, who can work in team, who are exceptionally talent, who understand their job role well, and they try to be the best fit for the organization, right? So the first purpose, first importance of HR is to create highly talented personnel. The second important is the protection of the weaker section. So there is some social responsibility also attached to human resources. So whenever you hire people, you only doesn't hire from only a particular community. You hire from people who you want to make them empowered, right? So the people who are not earning, they start earning with your employment, and that's why you want to make those sections weaker, um, those strong, make them strong. Those sections should be strong, right? And then the third one is your international strategy. So you will also want to expand in future. You would like to do some import export. You would like to expand into a new country through franchising, through licensing. So that is the reason why also international strategies becomes important. So the question is, what is the features? What are the features of HRP? That's very important. So let's talk about the first feature, and this is called, this is futuristic. So when I say futuristic, okay, so we were talking about the features of HRP. So the features of HRP is, first feature is futuristic. As we are planning, we the whole idea is to plan, right? So the planning is all about future, predicting future, right? So HRP is always futuristic in its approach. They always want to see what is going to happen after 3 months, 6 months, after 8 months, after a year, maybe down 5 year down the line, 3 year down the line. So basically they want to understand what is the future. And that's the reason why, because you can only make a plan when you know that what is going to happen in future. So that is the reason why it's very important to understand, or to try to understand what is going to happen in future, right? So the first point is that it is futuristic in nature. Okay, that's the first point. Second, it's a continuous process. So you cannot say that if you have started doing HRP today, you are going to end it after 1 month, or you are going to do end it after 3 months, or maybe in 6 months, because it is not one of those processes which will start from an X point and it will end up at Y point. It is not like that. It is more like a continuous process. So you keep on doing it throughout the year. Every day you plan for something. Every day you plan for how many people you require, and that is why it's a continuous process. Every company think in this way, that let's say tomorrow there could be a COVID, tomorrow there could be a recession, tomorrow could be any natural calamity that could happen, but accordingly we plan. There could be a technological change in the industry, and that is the reason why we cannot stop this process. We cannot say that, okay, I started on this date and I ended this particular task on this date. That's the HRP doesn't works in that way. HRP works in a very simple way, that it should be a continuous process. Okay, so the first one was, it is should be futuristic in nature, and the second one is that it should be a continuous process. Then moving on to the third one, that it is part of the corporate planning. I told you that it is a subsystem of a bigger organization plan. So corporate planning is a planning which is done at top management. So we all know that in management, we have three levels. One is the top management, then we have middle management, and then we have lower level management. So, and at every level, the planning is different. So when lower level management, we do functional planning. At middle level management, we do business planning. And at top level management, we do corporate planning. So that is the reason why when I say corporate planning, part of corporate planning, that means HRP does include top management as well. It is not only uh, the human resource department who is able to do it. They need to talk to the top management also before taking any decision. So it is very important that whatever decision you are taking, it must be approved, and it must be you and they should be on the same page. So it is very, very important that we go in this way. Okay. So we talked about three features now. It is futuristic in nature, it is a continuous process, and it is part of the corporate plan. Moving on to the fourth one, that is called flexibility. Now, another very important point in HRP is flexibility. Flexibility means that these plans are not rigid plans. These plans are not one of those plans that today I'll say, okay, I'll hire 100 people in this month. but it might vary. It could be 110, it could be 90, it could be 120. So there would be some deviations. There could be, the plan should be designed in this way that there should be some flexibility attached to it, so that even if you need a certain change to it due to certain circumstances, you will be able to do it. Otherwise, if you will uh, otherwise you will not be able to do it. Very simple. So it is very, very important that you make those plans as flexible plans. Okay. Never fix those plans. Never make it a very rigid plan. That's very important. Okay. And then the next point is that we have both kind of HRP. It could be a long term plan, or it could be a short term plan as well. And we'll be talking about both in just couple of minutes. Okay. The short term plan is also there, long term plan is also there, but there should be flexibility. There should not be no rigidity. Very simple. You should not be very rigid in your approach. So try to make sure that you are focusing on a flexible plan, a
Yes, sir.
continuous plan, a, a plan which is more futuristic in its approach. It is done with the consent of top level management, and we plan for both type of terms. We plan for short terms also, and we plan for long term also. So HRP is right person at right place at right time, and these are the features of HRP. Right? So let's move ahead.